the 369th Division Harlem Hellfighter Henry Johnson, aka Black Death, fought for his life with a bolo knife. Rowdy Nation TV, welcome back to the channel. Do me a favor, guys, click that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video. Let's get it. Okay, today is MLK Day, so I first like to say happy birthday to Martin Luther King. I actually think his birthday is on January 15th. But nevertheless, today is MLK Day, and it's been celebrated as a federal holiday all across the nation. So, to anybody who's celebrating Martin Luther King Day, I like to say happy MLK Day. So, in honor of Martin Luther King, I like to get into a story of one of our black heroes, World War I hero Henry Johnson. Now, Henry Johnson was fought in World War I, and he fought for his life with a bolo lock. He was 26 years old, 5'4", weighed 130 pounds, and he came from Albany, New York. And on the night of May 15th, 1918, Private Henry Johnson, a member of the all-black 369th Infantry Regiment, found himself fighting for his life against 20 German soldiers out in front of his unit's trench line. Johnson got off 3 rounds in his French-made rifle, tossed all his hand grenades, and then grabbed his Army-issued bolo knife and started stabbing. He buried the knife in the head of one attacker, then disemboweled another German soldier. Each slash meant something. Believe me, Johnson said later. There wasn't anything so fine about it, he said. Just fought for my life. A rabbit would have done that. By the time what a reporter called the Battle of Henry Johnson was over, Johnson had been wounded 21 times and becomes the first American hero of World War I. Johnson's actions during the night of May 15, 1918, brought attention to the African-American doughboys of the unit. The New York National Guard's former 15th Infantry redesignated the 369th for wartime service. The 369th Detached under the French command arrived on the front line trenches in Champagne region on April 15, 1918. They were relieved to be free of supply and service tasks of past months and ready to join the fight. Now under the command of the French Army, the American Expeditionary Forces detached the all-black regiment to bolster and ally and preserve racial segregation in American command. Now, see, the French, they were less concerned about racial inequality, and they welcomed the African American regiment that would earn its nickname as the Hellfighters from Harlem. The regiment's first battle would otherwise be a footnote in World War I history, fought by only 2 soldiers, or if not for the scrutiny the all-black regiment faced all the time. After weeks of combat patrols, raids, and artillery barrages, Privates Henry Johnson, 26, from Albany, New York, and his buddy Needham Roberts, 17, of Trenton, New Jersey, from the regiment's 1st Battalion, Company C, stood watch near a bridge over the Izon River at Boise de Haze during the night of May 15th. And I know I slaughtered that name, but I'm sorry. An enemy patrol with an estimated 20 to 24 troops was determined to eliminate the outpost and bring prisoners back to learn about the all-black force. Around 2 in the morning, shots rang out, and the sounds of wire cutters alerted the 2 American soldiers. Johnson, opening a box of grenades, told Roberts to run back and alert the main line of defense. But at the moment the first enemy grenades landed in that position, Johnson stalled the German patrol with grenades of his own. As Roberts was struck down with shrapnel wounds to his arm and his hip, when out of grenades, he took up his French rifle. The Lebel rifle carries a magazine clip of 3 cartridges. Noted Arthur Little, the 1st Battalion commander, in his 1936 book, From the Harlem to the Rhine. Johnson fired his 3 shots, the last one almost muzzled to the breast of the Boche German men bearing down upon him. As the German fell, a comrade jumped over his body, pistol in hand, to avenge his death. There was no time for reloading. Johnson swung his rifle around his head and brought it down with a thrown blow upon the head of the German. The German went down crying in perfectly good Bowery English. the little black and so has got me. So I guess he was cussing up a storm when he seen the brother had hit him. You see what I'm saying? You know what the so and so means, right? I'm just reading this from this article. As Johnson looked over to assist Roberts, he saw two Germans lift him up and carry him off towards the German lines. Johnson reached for his army-issued bolo knife and charged. His aggressiveness took the Germans by surprise. As Johnson sprang, he unsheathed his bolo knife, and as his knees landed upon the shoulders of that ill-fated Boche, the blade of the knife was buried in the hilt through the crown of the German's head. The army adopted the bolo knife from its experience in the Philippine insurrection of 1899. The big knife used by Philippine insurgents was heavily weighted along the back of its curved blade and was devastating for close quarter combat. Turning to face the rest of the German patrol, Johnson was struck by a bullet from an automatic pistol, but continued to lunge forward, stabbing and slashing at the enemy. The enemy patrol panicked. Little wrote, overwhelmed by Johnson's ferocity and with the sound of French and American troops approaching, the Germans ran back into the night. The raiding party abandoned a considerable quantity of equipment, a number of firearms, including automatic pistols, and carried away their wounded and their dead. Wow. So I guess they did get their wounded and they dead, but they left all from what it's saying here, that they left all their equipment, but they managed to get away with carrying away, some of their dead. Now it says by daylight, the carnage was clear, even after suffering 21 wounds in hand-to-hand combat, that Henry Johnson had stopped the Germans from approaching the French line or capturing his fellow soldier. He killed one German with a rifle fire, knocked one down with club rifle, killed two with a bolo knife, killed one with a grenade, and it is believed wounded others in the wounded others. Now, the French 16th Division, which commanded the Hellfighters, quickly recognized the actions of Johnson and Roberts. The two soldiers received the French Croix du Gorée, the country's highest military honor. The French orders dated May 16th stated Henry Johnson gave a magnificent example of courage and energy. Now that's what I'm talking about, and that's why I want to do. Now this is coming now. See, they gave him this medal right here. They gave this back on May 16th, back when this all happened. Now, see, he didn't get nothing from the Americans, but we're gonna get into that though. We're gonna get into that. Now, the French orders dated May 16th stated Henry Johnson gave a magnificent example of courage and energy. And you see, like I said, he gave him the highest military honor that you can get from the French, which is called the Croix du Gorée. Wow. You see, they wasn't tripping on no racial stuff. Maybe they were. I don't think they were tripping. Like I've always heard, that's why a lot of jazz musicians, back in that day, they all moved over to France, because they treated black men better over there. You see what I'm saying? Now, they were the first U.S. soldiers to earn this distinction, and Henry Johnson's medal included the coveted gold palm for extraordinary valor. From that point on, Private Henry Johnson was known as Black Death. The regiment would go on to prove itself in combat operations through the rest of the war, receiving the Croix du Gorée for its unit's actions alongside some 171 individual decorations of heroism. Now, but Henry Johnson was to be singled out for his heroism and actions under fire. Former President Theodore Roosevelt called Johnson one of the 5 bravest Americans to serve in World War I. The question of whether the African-American 15th New York Infantry would fight as well as any other unit was answered in the darkness on May 15, 1918. After the war, Johnson and Roberts returned home as national heroes. Promoted to sergeant, Henry Johnson led the New York City parade for the 369th in February of 1919. Johnson's extensive injuries, however, prevented his return to a normal civilian life. He had difficulty finding work. He died destitute in 1929 and was buried in Arlington National Cemetery. Now, some 97 years after this combat service in France in 1918, the Department of Defense reviewed his records and recommended his Medal of Honor presented by then President Barack Obama in 2015. Thanks, Barack Obama. We appreciate our black hero. And this story right here, this is a very good story. I don't know if you guys are into. I'm into stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? Instead of that's why I say sometimes for me, I have to break away from doing all this goofy stuff on the internet and all, because we all know what goes on out there. But sometimes, that's not all we do as a people. So I wanted to put this story out here. You see what I'm saying? Now, his citation reads: Private Johnson exposed himself to grave danger by advancing from his position to engage an enemy soldier in hand-to-hand combat. Wielding only a knife and gravely wounding himself, Private Johnson continued fighting and took his bolo knife and stabbed it through an enemy soldier's head, displaying great courage. Private Johnson held back the enemy force until they retreated. We are a nation, a people who remember our heroes, Obama said during the June 2015 Medal of Honor ceremony at the White House. We never forget the sacrifice, and we believe it's never too late to say thank you. 97 years later. Now, those people over there in France gave those two brothers, they gave them their just due. They gave them their flowers when it happened. A lot of people give the French people a lot of, give France and the French people a lot of slack. You know what I'm saying? But I applaud them for that. It took Americans 97 years, and we're still over here fighting. You know what I'm saying? For stuff that we deserve. We're still fighting. And I just wanted to put this story out there. I hope you guys enjoyed this story, in honor of Martin Luther King Day. Happy King Day to everybody. This is Rowdy Nation TV. Click that like button, subscribe to the channel, come rock with your boy. We out.